Good day, everyone. How are you all doing today? Hope you're doing great. Today's lesson in science will be about Unit 3 closing and revision. And our objective is to have a recap of what we've learned in Unit 3. So, are you ready? Let's go. Let's take a look at this picture. What do we see in front of us? Excellent! We can see a farm with lots of crops and plants. So, do you remember what do plants need to live and grow? Well, plants need 5 things to live and grow, so let's remember them together. Plants need water. They also need sun. Plants need soil to live and grow. They also need air and space. Did you remember the basic needs of the plants? What about animals? Do animals have the same needs, just like plants? Do you still remember the basic needs of animals? Well, let me remind you about them. First of all, animals need shelters, just like this little rabbit where it lives in a burrow. Animals also need air to breathe. They also need water, just like this deer. And last of all, animals need food to live and grow, just like this giraffe. And now, let me ask you a question. Where do you think these animals that we can see in this picture live? Well done! These animals live in a forest. A forest is their habitat. A forest is a place with many trees. And the animals and the plants that we see in this picture right here get what they need in this forest. What is this place? Do you remember this habitat? Fantastic job! This habitat is called the pond. The pond is a small area of fresh water where we can see different kinds of animals that can live there, such as ducks, fish, frogs, and dragonfly. Also, in the pond, we can see some special kinds of plants, such as the cattails and the water lilies. These animals and plants get what they need from the pond, so the pond is their habitat. Let's move on to remember another interesting habitat. Do you remember this place where many animals and plants live in? Excellent! This is called the ocean. The ocean is a huge body of salt water. Many kinds of animals can live in the ocean, such as different kinds of fish, sea turtles, seahorses, starfish, crabs, and many more. Also, we can see different kinds of plants that can grow in the ocean, such as seaweeds, corals, and many more. Moving on to talk about another interesting habitat, which I know you're all familiar with. So, do you know the name of this place in front of us? Well done! It is called the desert. The desert is a large region that gets very little rain each year. Very few plants and animals live and survive in desert areas. And in this picture in front of us, we see some kinds of animals that can live in a desert, such as the lizard, the hawk, camels, and the desert fox. We can also see some kinds of plants that can live and survive in a desert area. For example, cactuses and palm trees. Let's take a look at this scene in front of us, where we will remember together how do plants and animals change the environment. In this first example, we can see that plants change the environment by growing on a tree stump. In the second example, we can see a kind of plant called ivy, which grew on rocks. In the third example, we can see another kind of plants called moss, which also change the environment by growing on rocks. Now let's move on to talk about our fourth example, which is an animal. This animal is called a rabbit. This rabbit changed the environment as well by digging in the soil and building its shelter, which is called the burrow. For our fifth example, we can see an animal called beaver. Do you remember how do beavers change the environment around them? Very good. Beavers change the environment by picking up branches, mud, some rocks to build their shelter, which is called the dam. And finally, for our last example, we will talk about birds. Birds also change the environment by picking up twigs from different places and building their shelter, which is called the nest.